to the Eagles, actually, Colin. They have been in a bit of a groove the last 2 weeks. Now, sure, they've destroyed the Raiders and Washington, but still, Philadelphia's been tinkering with some empty sets. If you've noticed, Jalen Hurts is cooking in those empty sets last 2 games. And according to Hurts, hey, listen, they're taking things on a game-by-game basis.
We're finding ways to win. I think we're finding ways to win, but it takes a component of complementary football as all. And that's always the name of the game. And being able to, be efficient. I'm having efficient runs, stay ahead of the sticks, be intentional about what we're doing, set up things, sequence it the way it's supposed to be sequenced, and ultimately be able to adjust. Right? Every game is different.
Yeah. Well,
I
will say that teams have been flexing against the Dallas and the Washington defense this year. So you got to be careful about overreacting to the win over Washington, but it is a division rival, and Saquon had a huge game like last year. So I think Philadelphia, I've got them in my top 5. I do. I don't know what I get with Buffalo. I was disappointed in Denver. I got Philadelphia as a top 5 team.
Interesting. So they go to Buffalo, marquee game Sunday. There's only 2 games in the 4 p.m. window. One is the Toilet Bowl, Raiders versus Giants. And the other
like Philadelphia.
is Eagles. Do you? So do I.
I like Philadelphia in this game.
I don't know how the Bills are favored here. I'll just say this, because I had some fantasy implications in that Bills-Browns game. After Josh Allen got hurt in the second half, he was not even close.
Oh, the offense did nothing.
All right, let's break this down. The prevailing sentiment seems to favor the home team. That's a standard, almost reflexive analysis. In this case, it's Josh Allen and the Bills getting that nod. But that reasoning has very little to do with a substantive evaluation of the Philadelphia Eagles themselves, which is the real conversation we should be having. This brings me to a broader point about narrative consistency. Just last week, a prominent commentator placed the Eagles around 10th in his rankings, explicitly stating, "I don't trust Jalen Hurts in big spots," and even dedicated a separate segment to that premise. I found that perspective baffling. Jalen Hurts is arguably one of the few quarterbacks in the league who has demonstrably earned that trust, delivering repeatedly in high-leverage situations. To dismiss that track record felt like an extreme take. Now, following decisive victories, that same voice has vaulted Philadelphia into his top 5. It's a whiplash-inducing pivot that highlights the reactive nature of weekly analysis. This commentator even previewed the Eagles' matchups against the Raiders and Commanders by predicting they'd win and look great, but cautioned everyone not to be fooled. Now, having seen those wins, the conclusion is that they're a top 5 team. The inconsistency is notable. This ties directly into why I place such significant value on the manner of those victories. When J-Mac noted the Eagles are trying different things, he pinpointed the exact reason those performances were more impressive than a simple check in the win column. For contrast, consider when the Kansas City Chiefs beat teams like the Commanders or Raiders earlier this season. My reaction was muted. My expectation for a fully healthy Chiefs team led by Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid is that they dispatch inferior opponents. That's the baseline. Beating those teams doesn't prove you're back. It proves you can do the minimum expected of an elite franchise. And, for the record, my assumption that health alone would fix Kansas City's issues wasn't entirely accurate either, but that's a separate discussion. The Eagles' situation is fundamentally distinct. Their recent success isn't merely about executing the same old plan more effectively. It's about a tangible, strategic evolution. We are incredibly fortunate to have had a broadcaster like Greg Olsen calling those games, as he masterfully articulated the on-field adjustments. High-quality commentary serves this vital function. It demystifies the game for newer fans while providing deeper layers of insight for veterans. Finding that balance is an art form, similar to my own challenge in creating content that resonates with both diehard football enthusiasts and those just learning the sport. During those Eagles broadcasts, the shift was unmistakable. This wasn't just Saquon Barkley got going or Jalen Hurts finally hit some passes. The team fundamentally altered its schematic approach, its play-calling rhythms, and its overall game plan. That level of in-season adaptation is what makes the takeaways so powerful and encouraging. Of course, the crucial next step is demonstrating this evolved identity against superior competition. Any schematic tweak or newfound rhythm will always be easier to establish against lesser opponents. That's an undeniable fact. If the Eagles had simply pounded the ball more successfully with the same predictable formula they used earlier in the year, my apprehension about their ceiling would remain unchanged. But the evidence points to more. Hurts utilizing his legs as a dynamic weapon with renewed purpose. The reestablishment of a genuine, impactful connection with A.J. Brown. These are substantive developments. Now the Eagles enter a strange interstitial period. They face the Buffalo Bills this Sunday. Their playoff positioning isn't in total no man's land, but it's complex. The Bears play on Saturday. If Chicago loses to the 49ers, the NFC's 2 seed remains in play for Philadelphia. The 1 seed, however, appears mathematically out of reach due to tiebreakers and the Seahawks-49ers result. Therefore, the absolute best-case scenario is the 2 seed. This creates a strategic dilemma. How hard do you push in these final 2 regular season games when you're battling for that specific seeding? If the Bears lose and the Eagles win, both teams would be 11-5, setting up a final week showdown for seeding, with Chicago facing a divisional rival in the Detroit Lions, a prideful team that would relish playing spoiler. If the 49ers lose and the Bears win, Philadelphia is likely locked into the 3 seed. This uncertainty leads to the perennial question of rest versus rhythm. The benefits of freshness are immense. Last season, Andy Reid, armed with a first-round bye, shut down his key players entirely in Week 18. The Los Angeles Rams famously prioritized health over seeding, indifferent to whether they landed as the 5, 6, or 7 seed. The Bills, Philadelphia's upcoming opponent, are in a similar contemplative state. With Josh Allen nursing an injury and their division title a long shot, they too have an argument to slow things down. Buffalo could realistically finish anywhere from the 5th to the 7th seed. It almost feels like head coaches Nick Sirianni and Sean McDermott should have a quiet agreement to treat this as a glorified 80% speed joint practice, a chance to work on specifics without exposing their most vital assets to unnecessary risk. It's a weird spot. For the Eagles, the imperative is clear. They still need to refine this new identity. They must continue to gel, to solidify their offensive approach, and to build Jalen Hurts' comfort level within this evolving system. I want to see more of Tank Bigsby. Every time A.J. Brown takes a hit and stays down for an extra beat, or gets up gingerly, hearts skip a beat. Dallas Goedert seems to attract unnecessary punishment. Devonta Smith's slender frame surviving the weekly punishment feels like a minor miracle. And with Hurts now running more, the risk calculus changes. I'll be fascinated to see how both teams approach this game. It's a slight disappointment for neutrals, as a full-throttle Eagles-Bills showdown would be tremendous television. A repeat of their epic overtime clash from a few years ago, won by a Hurts touchdown run. We'll have to wait and see. But those are my thoughts. I'm very keen to hear yours. What do you make of Jalen Hurts and the Philadelphia Eagles? The once untrustworthy Jalen Hurts now guiding a top 5 team, according to some? Who did they leapfrog? We'll analyze that in the next segment. Let me know your perspectives in the comments below. I read every single one, whether you concur or vehemently disagree. Let's get some discussion going, engage in some lively debate, but ultimately, let's enjoy the conversation. Please consider subscribing. We're building a fantastic community here, and I'd love for you to be part of it. Don't forget to like this video. It genuinely helps. Thank you so much. See you next time.